Patty Loveless has been one of the most respected singers in country music for decades, known for her moving songs and powerful performances. Fans have been interested in her personal life for a long time, even when she's not in the news. She finally talked about her relationship with fellow country music star Vince Gill, which has been a mystery for a long time. Fans and people who work in the music business are now interested, speculating, and even debating about the reveal. It has made people wonder about the stories behind the music, and it shows the untold truth that will surprise many people in the business. Even though she had problems, Patty Loveless has been known for a long time as one of the most enduring and important singers in country music. She was born Patricia Lee Ramey on January 4, 1957, in Pikeville, Kentucky. Loveless was naturally good at singing from a young age. She started playing in public when she was a teenager and went backstage at the Grand Ole Opry when she was about 14. Getting to know the professional music world early on set the stage for a career that would last for decades and leave a lasting mark on country music. Through traveling with the Wilburn Brothers Roadshow, she got hands-on experience that helped her improve her performance skills. Learn about the music business early on and become good at it. During this time, she also married Patty Loveless, who was the drummer for the Wilburn Brothers. Later, she changed the spelling of her last name to Loveless, which would become a famous country music name. By the middle of the 1980s, Loveless had moved from being known in her home state to being known across the country. She made demos in Nashville in 1985, which led her to sign her first record deal with a big label, MCA Nashville. This important event marked the start of her professional music career and paved the way for decades of artistic output. Loveless's rich, emotional voice was heard by more people on her self-titled debut studio record, which came out in January 1987. After that, her second record, If My Heart Had Windows, came out in 1988. The title track was Loveless's first top 10 country hit. It showed that she was not only a great singer but also a rising star in the country music business. In the same year, on June 11, 1988, she was admitted into the Grand Ole Opry. This was a big deal that showed how well known she was becoming and solidified her place among the top country musicians. Later that same year, Loveless released her third album, Honky Tonk Angel. This album would become the most important in her career. The record gave her her first #1 country hits, like Timber, I'm Falling in Love, and Chains, which cemented her place as a leading voice in the genre. Like before, Loveless kept putting out albums that both fans and reviewers liked over the next few years. On Down the Line, which she put out in 1990, had hits like On Down the Line and I'm That Kind of Girl. Up Against My Heart, which came out the next year, showed off her singing range and emotional depth even more. Her image as an artist who can write both heartfelt ballads and upbeat singles that are ready for the radio were strengthened. In her personal life, Loveless reached important goals that were connected to her work. She married Emory Gordy Jr. in February 1989. He was a producer, bassist, and arranger, and their work together and personal support were very important to her singing career. They worked together in a way that was both personal and professional, and Gordy Jr.'s impact helped Loveless continue to be successful in her field. Loveless was a well-known name in country music by the early 1990s. She was known for being able to show vulnerability, power, and authenticity through her performances. Loveless left MCA and signed with Epic Records in late 1992, looking for new chances and ways to grow as a musician. This move changed the course of her career, letting her try new artistic ways while keeping the emotional truth that made her music famous. Her sixth studio album and first under Epic Records came out in April 1993. It was only called What I Feel. Loveless became even more popular on country radio and in fans' hearts with the #1 hit Blame It On Your Heart, which was on the record. The rest of her albums kept building on this energy. When Fallen Angels Fly, Loveless's 1994 record, was both critically acclaimed and commercially successful. It showed how she could combine traditional country sounds with modern influences. In 1996, 2 years later, she released The Trouble with the Truth, which had several #1 songs, such as You Can Feel Bad and Lonely Too Long. These albums helped Loveless's image as an artist. Could regularly make music that moves people and does well in the marketplace. Her ability to connect with people through storytelling and honest performances became one of the most important parts of her career. It earned her awards and a loyal fan group. Loveless was an artist who wasn't just marked by how well she did on the charts, she was also dedicated to learning more about her roots and musical heritage. Mountain Soul, a record with roots and bluegrass influences, came out in 2001. that used a lot of her Appalachian roots. Loveless wanted to honor the customs of her upbringing through this project, which also showed how versatile she is as a singer. People liked the record because it was honest and true to the music, showing how good Loveless is at mixing modern country with traditional Appalachian sounds. She released Mountain Soul 8 years later, in 2009. It was a follow-up that continued to explore bluegrass and roots music with the same passion and depth as Mountain Soul. The album won her a Grammy Award for Best Bluegrass Album, which was a tribute to her long-lasting ability and her work to keep traditional country and bluegrass music alive and make it better. During her career, Loveless has been praised not only for her singing, but also for being consistent and devoted to her work. She has worked her way through the music business by focusing on artistic integrity and emotional authenticity, from her early days as a member of the Wilburn Brothers to her success as a single artist with multiple #1 hits. Her partnerships, especially with her husband Emery Gordy Jr., have had a big impact on the sound and direction of her music. They have also helped her balance personal growth with professional success. Loveless has stayed popular for decades because she stays true to her roots and is open to trying new musical styles. Interested in both longtime fans and new listeners. Even in the 21st century, her services to country music are still being recognized. She was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in October 2023. This was her crowning achievement and shows how much she had an effect on both her music and the genre as a whole. This award recognizes not only her sales success and critical acclaim, but also her commitment to sharing stories, playing music, and keeping country music traditions alive. It's a fitting end to a career marked by ability, hard work, and a strong connection to the music of her Appalachian upbringing. Loveless's problems and struggles. Patty Loveless had a very successful and well-known career, but it wasn't all roses and rainbows. There were problems and scandals, especially in the early 1990s, when major events put her personal and professional life to the test. Loveless reached a turning point in her life and work in 1992 that would have long-lasting effects on her family relationships and career path. That year, she ended her contract with MCA Records, the label that had made her famous around the world and helped her build a strong career in the country music business. This caused a big management and family rift. The MCA had a big impact on Loveless's early career, putting out a number of records that made her voice known to many people and helped her get her start on the charts. But, as is often the case in the music business, artistic goals and economic goals don't always match up. Loveless was in a tough spot because the label's goals and vision didn't match up with her own artistic direction. Along with her professional choice to leave MCA, she also made the equally hard decision to stop working with her brother Roger Ramey, who had been her manager for a long time and a mentor to her in her early career. Roger helped his sister find chances, get contracts, and develop her early sound. He was an important part of figuring out the complicated music business. Even though they were very close as friends and family, Loveless decided that she needed a professional break to follow her growing artistic goals. She had to choose between loyalty and ambition, which was not easy. She had to let go of both a label that had given her national publicity and a family member who had been very important to her career. Even though they made this choice for work reasons, it caused a rift in their once close relationship. This shows the personal cost that often comes with making such important job decisions. It showed the human side of the music business to fans and outsiders, demonstrating that even well-known artists have to deal with complicated family and mental situations in addition to their work duties. The problems of 1992 didn't just end with problems between managers and family members. In the same year, Loveless had a vocal health problem that could have ended her career as a singer. She found an aneurysm, which is an enlarged blood vessel, on her vocal cords. This is a delicate condition that could have forever hurt her voice if it wasn't treated or was handled incorrectly. Such a diagnosis is very bad news for any singer, but especially for one whose job depends on being emotionally honest and singing clearly. In order to treat the condition, Loveless had surgery, which needed careful attention and a strict recovery plan. She had to stay quiet and not sing at all for weeks or even months. Not only was this time of forced silence hard on the body, it was also hard on the emotions and mind. Watching her friends keep performing, touring, and putting out music while she couldn't sing caused a unique kind of stress and uncertainty. The experience made me realize how vulnerable it is to work in a field where your body is your main instrument. It was also a stark warning that even well-known and respected artists can have sudden setbacks that could ruin their careers. Additionally, it brought out Loveless's strength, patience, and drive, traits that would later help her fully recover and keep making music that people connected with deeply. In addition to her personal and physical problems, Loveless had problems with MCA Records at this time, which made her career even more difficult. Her earlier work with the label produced several hits and made her a rising star in the country music world. Not every project met the business goals that MCA had set. This difference between what Loveless made artistically and how well it did commercially caused problems between her and the label, because her creative goals didn't always match up with MCA's marketing goals and standards for chart performance. The case was a good example of the problems many artists have when they work for big record labels, where the need to be creative can sometimes clash with the need to make money. There were two main reasons Loveless decided to leave MCA. She wanted creative freedom, and she knew that for her art to grow, she needed a place where she could try new things, express herself, and find a sound that fit her changing self. Loveless showed her dedication to her long-term goals by leaving a name that had helped her become successful in the beginning, even though it might have caused her some short-term uncertainty and instability in the workplace. The conflict between her manager and family, her vocal health crisis, and her business problems with her label all play a part in showing how hard it is for her to deal with personal, professional, and health issues. Loveless's life changed a lot in 1992. That's when she had to make tough choices that would affect her work and relationships for a long time. However, her career was not defined by failures or controversies. Instead, these events showed how strong she was and how dedicated she was to her work. Each problem required a different level of strength, emotional toughness to deal with family arguments, patience and care to get better after a major health threat, and the ability to make smart decisions to deal with problems at work. Everything that Loveless went through added to the depth of his art. Fans have long admired her shows for being real and having a lot of emotional power. Patty Loveless's trip through the problems of the early 1990s, such as disagreements with managers, vocal health crises, and problems with her record label, shows how strong and determined she was as an artist. One way to look at the bigger picture of country music during that time is through her story of persistence and dedication to being herself. A world where ability, chance, and personal problems often came together in complicated ways. As Loveless dealt with these problems, another important figure in country music was also making his influence stronger. Vince Gill, a contemporary whose career path would finally cross with hers in both professional and personal ways. Gill was born Vincent Grant Gill on April 12, 1957, in Norman, Oklahoma. He loved music from a very young age. He liked playing the guitar and singing because he grew up in a family that liked music. He also had a natural ability to understand tune and rhythm. He began playing in bluegrass bands when he was a teenager in the 1970s. This was a style that required both technical skill and emotional depth. Early work with bands like the Bluegrass Alliance taught him a lot about musical practice, performance, and working with others. These lessons would shape how he does professional music for decades to come. Bluegrass needed him to be very good at precision, harmony, and improvising. It also gave him a lot of knowledge that would later help him with his solo work and songwriting. Gill joined the country rock band Pure Prairie Lee sometime between the late 1970s and early 1980s. This move brought him more attention from new people and helped him learn how to work with a professional traveling band. This time helped him not only improve his stage appearance but also learn about the demands of the commercial music world, such as the stress of touring, recording, and staying in touch with fans. By balancing traditional country influences with more modern rock influences, performing with a well-known group helped him improve his flexibility that were becoming more common. These early experiences were very important in getting him ready for a solo career because they taught him both how to play music well and how to keep a professional job going in a tough field. Vince Gill made a big move to Nashville, Tennessee, in 1983, which was the center of the country music world and showed that he was ready to start a single career. He also got a deal with RCA Records that same year, which helped him release his first solo album, Turn Me Loose, in 1984. Even though the record didn't do very well in the sales charts, Gill used it to show off his unique voice, sensitive lyrics, and mastery of the guitar. The album showed early signs of the traits that would become important to his career. A mix of deep feeling, professional skill, and the ability to write songs that many people could relate to. Fans and people in the music business saw his promise right away, even though he didn't get much attention at first. This set the stage for his big break later in the decade. When Gill signed with MCA Nashville Records and released the record When I Call Your Name in 1989, it was a big turning point in his career. It marked his rise as a solo star. There was a lot of praise for the title track, When I Call Your Name, and it won a Grammy Award in praise from the Country Music Association, CMA. This album was important not only because it did well at the box office, but also because it showed Gill's skill at combining heartfelt storytelling with technical mastery on guitar and vocals. It showed how he could show strong feelings without sacrificing musical accuracy, which would become a trademark of his work. His success with the record put him at the top of country music, setting the stage for the many more successes that would come in the 1990s and beyond. 5 years in a row, Vince Gill won 5 CMA Male Vocalist of the Year awards, which was an amazing accomplishment and showed how dominant he was in the country music scene. These wins in a row showed how good his performances were all the time and how deeply his music touched people all over the country. Gill's acts were both technically perfect and believable, letting him mix classic and modern country styles while still being able to appeal to a wide audience. Fans and critics alike praised his ability to keep the quality of his albums and live shows high. Each new release added to his image as one of the most skilled and versatile male singers of his time. So, the years 1991 to 1995 were the height of his fame and impact as an artist. They solidified his position as a key figure in country music during a time of major change in the genre. Gill's personal life also played a big role in his public story, especially after he married Christian pop star Amy Grant in 2000. Their friendship, based on mutual support and an understanding of art, became an important part of both Gill's personal and working life. When their daughter Karina was born in 2001, it added a family dimension to his musical achievements and helped him find a balance between the demands of a famous job and the duties of being a parent. This part of his life made him seem more like a real person to the public, showing that he was not only a famous artist but also a loving partner and dad. His stable and supportive family certainly helped him keep making high-quality music, which helped him keep his career going while navigating the changing landscape of country music. Vince Gill has won many Grammy and CMA awards, put out more than 20 albums, and sold millions of songs around the world. This shows that he has been successful in the music business and with critics. His huge body of work shows that he is consistently committed to artistic quality, can adapt to changing musical trends, and has a strong link with his audiences. Gill's discography includes traditional country, modern country, and bluegrass styles. This shows how well-versed he is in many types of music and how ready he is to try new things while staying true to his roots. He has a rare mix of talent, discipline, and a deep knowledge of the country music business that has helped him stay relevant for decades. Vince Gill was officially recognized for his services to music when he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2007. This was a big deal that showed how influential, talented, and important he was to the genre. This award recognized not only his economic success, but also his ability to keep his authenticity and emotional resonance over many years of recording and performing. Gill is now one of the most recognized people in the history of country music after being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Adding to his legacy as an artist whose impact goes beyond accolades and sales numbers to the emotional and cultural mark he has made on fans. It was the result of years of hard work, technical mastery, and artistic growth. It showed both the wins and difficulties of making a career in music last. In the world of country music, personal life, public perception, and professional success are all very closely linked. Patty Loveless's work and Vince Gill's rise to fame are two examples of this. Vince Gill's career as an artist was very successful, with awards, induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and a string of important records. However, his personal life and interactions with the public were not without problems and scandals. There are times when even the best artists have to deal with situations that test their character and how fans and the public see them. Gill's experiences are a great example of this dynamic. Knowing about these events in Gill's life shows how hard it is to balance a famous country music job with personal life. In the middle of the 1990s, Vince Gill had to deal with a very public and personal problem: the end of his first marriage. After being together for 17 years, Gill got married to singer Janice Oliver, representing a time in his life, both personally and professionally. By 1996, there were news stories about marital problems, with a lot of focus on his growing friendship with fellow singer Amy Grant. Public talk and speculation often made the emotional problems that came with the situation worse, adding to Gill's stress as she tried to deal with both her own feelings and the public's view of her. When the divorce was finalized in 1997, it was a big change for him. He had to deal with the difficulties of ending a long-term marriage while still doing his job as a professional singer with a dedicated fan base. This time period showed how difficult it can be to mix personal happiness with public attention. It showed how even very successful people have to deal with the difficulties of private life while being watched by the media. At this time, Gill was going through a lot of emotional problems, and he also had to keep up his artistic momentum. As a performer whose job depended on being real, having great technical skills, and touching people emotionally, dealing with personal problems without letting them affect work required a level of focus and calmness that few people outside the business fully understand. Award nominations, performances, and records were the obvious signs of his success to fans and people in the music business. But behind the scenes, he was going through a public divorce while also working on his new music. In many ways, this part of Gill's life showed the two roles that country music artists have to play. They have to keep up a public image of professionalism and excellence while also dealing with highly personal events that are sometimes seen by the public. Even though the divorce was hard, it was also a turning point for Gill. He was able to change his personal and professional goals, in the end making way for a new part of his life. Vince Gill has been involved with bigger cultural and social problems that are related to his fame in country music, in addition to these very personal events. He talked about the sensitive issue of race in country music in public in 2021. He acknowledged the harm and effects of using racial slurs in country music in the past. Gill was ready to talk about systemic problems in a genre that has long struggled with questions of inclusion and representation by calling this kind of language degrading, dismissive, and hurtful. His honest comments show that he knows artists, especially powerful artists, have a duty to question long-held beliefs and promote understanding and respect in their professional groups. By talking about these issues, Gill added to the ongoing talks about fairness and acceptance. In the music business, artists have responsibilities that go beyond performance. These include culture leadership and moral responsibility. Vince Gill has had problems because of social and cultural factors as well as the way technology has changed the world and made public figures more vulnerable. Fraudsters and impersonators have posed as Gill on social media more than once, taking large amounts of money from fans. To protect his fans and the honor of his name, his team had to talk about these things quickly and clearly. The risks of broad digital connectivity can affect anyone, even a musician who has been in the public eye and interacted with fans for decades. These events show how artists' responsibilities are changing as time goes on. They now have to balance the needs of performance and creative work with managing their online profile and how the public sees them. Social media has become both a way to connect with people and a way to take risks. This makes it harder to keep trust, trustworthiness, and safety in a job that depends on building relationships with audiences. Gill's problems have also sometimes come up in the form of direct public conflict. In 2013, he had to deal with protesters from the Westboro Baptist Church who were angry about his marriage to Amy Grant again. Unlike most controversies, this one needed a personal and quick reaction. The argument brought to light a rare occasion when Gill had to firmly defend both his personal decisions and his honor in public. He showed bravery and a commitment to living honestly by facing the protesters directly, even though it was hard and people were critical of him. It also showed a bigger idea that applies to famous people. Even if an artist has a successful job with a lot of praise and admiration, there may be times when they have to show how calm, wise, and able they are to deal with ideological or social problems. While these events don't happen very often, they show how complicated public life can be when personal choices and beliefs affect how people are seen by others. Patty Loveless still hopes to be with Vince Gill one day. Patty Lovelace's work has always been shaped by her love of traditional country music and her commitment to telling real stories through song. She has become one of the most respected voices in the genre over the years, despite facing personal and professional difficulties while making music that connects with both old and new fans. In the past few years, her career has taken an exciting turn as she reunites with Vince Gill, another huge name in country music, on a tour that has quickly become one of the most anticipated events in the business. Fans are excited about this partnership, but it's not a random pair. Instead, it means a professional friendship and mutual respect that goes back decades of recording, performing, and getting to know each other personally. The relationship between Loveless and Gill has roots in the fact that they have worked together on music before. They have been backup singers on each other's songs over the years, which has created a subtle but long-lasting harmony that fans have long loved. Not only did these people make important accomplishments, but Emery Gordy Jr. also produced Gill's work while he was working for RCA Records and later became Loveless' producer and husband. The fact that they both liked the same music helped them understand each other's artistic tastes and set the stage for bigger projects. This shows how business and personal relationships often mix in the country music industry. In this setting, the thought of a collaborative album came up. This project would have shown off their voices together in a way that not many modern country acts do. In the early stages of planning, Loveless and Gill were thinking about making an old-fashioned male-female duet record, like the classic country music duos of the past. The idea was big. It wanted to capture the chemistry and emotional impact of famous groups like Dolly Parton and Porter Wagoner, or the famous trio of Parton, Linda Ronstadt, and Emmylou Harris. Loveless talks about how much work went into choosing songs and setting up meetings with record executives. This shows how carefully the project was planned and how excited people were about it. The duet record was going to be a big deal for both artists. It would combine their strong vocals in a way that pays tribute to tradition while also being new to modern listeners. Ultimately, though, the plans fell through because Loveless's career path changed. The Duet project was pretty much over when she chose to leave MCA Records and sign with Sony Music. Even though this change was good for her work, it caused the much-anticipated collaboration to be pushed back. Loveless thinks about the time with a mix of regret and hope, pointing out that MCA continued the idea with Reba McEntire, which led to a string of successful songs for her and Gill. But Loveless had a different plan. She wanted a full record, not just a few songs here and there. She also says that the end of the project didn't change her desire to work on the duet again in the future. Her words show both the harsh realities of the music business, where label changes and business choices can ruin creative plans, and the unwavering hope that these projects can still come to life.